Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Pfluger, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Administrator, thank you for being here. I speak for 750,000 constituents that are extremely worried about the overreach and the attack and assault on American energy. When you talk about loss of life, the single greatest prevention of loss of life over the past decade has been from the Permian Basin, which has helped 1 billion people worldwide extend their lives and lift them out of poverty. Last summer, the EPA released a regulatory agenda which included the consideration of a redesignation of ozone attainment in the Permian Basin. If this is finalized, it would impose serious regulatory burdens. In fact, the White House today just released their priorities. I'm sure you've seen them, for infrastructure and energy, and one of them says, prioritizing community engagement. Administrator, I've sent 6 letters asking for a meeting with the Region 6 director, Ms. Nance, and you know how many of those requests have come back answered to me? 6 of them. 0. Unacceptable. That's not community engagement. Is the EPA actively pursuing a discretionary consideration of redesignation of ozone attainment in the Permian Basin?
Well, you should absolutely be involved in those conversations.
Sir, we're not. And I expect after this hearing today that we will get a call from Ms. Nance.
Yes.
Is the EPA considering a redesignation regarding ozone of the Permian Basin?
I'd have to look into that. Obviously, that's a Region 6 issue.
But you're the EPA administrator.
I have regional administrators for a reason who oversee thousands of
This is the most prolific area of energy production in the entire world. If it were not for the Permian Basin, this country and the world would have serious problems. That's very disheartening to not know the answer to that. Let's go to the next one on the natural gas issue, the natural gas tax. You know, look, my constituents are extremely worried about the overreach. Congress sets laws. Congress passes new laws. The unelected bureaucrats, to my knowledge, have not been to my district in at least 5 years. We've gone back, haven't seen an EPA administrator or director do the community engagement. Given Congress's clear intent to exempt marginal wells defined by less than 15 barrels a day and small producers, how does the EPA plan to communicate, if at all, to operators that were not reporting on the date of enactment of the IRA, that they do not have to comply?
The IRA is a law that was passed by Congress that was delegated to the EPA. The EPA hasn't voluntarily established any taxes. So I'm not quite sure I understand the question. We do have a natural gas proposed and supplemental rule that the industry actually asked us for at the beginning of the administration because they wanted some regulatory certainty. I think in the IRA, there was $1.5 billion proposed.
And how will the EPA communicate on how to follow those?
We're community engagement. Number one, we've been communicating, and as a matter of fact, we've gotten a lot of feedback from the natural gas industry on how they want that $1.5 billion spent. We know they want it spent on mitigation. We know they want it spent on technology. We're designing that program right now with their input.
There are many trade organizations that would disagree with that characterization, that have not been contacted, that do not support this and support my legislation to repeal the natural gas tax so that they can produce. Because here's the important thing. 80% of our production comes from independent producers. Those marginal wells, 80% in this country, over 80%, of the wells we have in this country are marginal. And so
you would have to overturn that law before I could not abide by the law.
Well, we want to know how you're going to inform them. And you know, I got 2 more questions. Sure. It's a very worrisome thing. It's overreach. And my constituents who are actually lowering the cost of energy and doing the work are at risk. The entire country is at risk. But they have not been engaged in this. They have not been consulted, and that's very troublesome. Representative Vesey and I, along with a bipartisan group of Texas members, recently sent you a letter urging efficient and fair review of the Texas Railroad Commission's application for primacy on Class 6 wells. Can you please give me a timeline for when that's going to be responded to?
That would be in the regional administrator's office, and
again,
I will get back to you.
The 6 letters I've sent to meet with the regional director, these were questions I had for her, and we've received no response.
I will be sure that you get a response.
Administrator, we are extremely concerned. Energy security is national security. The Permian Basin deserves to have a fair shake when it comes to producing energy. We know how to do it better than anywhere else. And it's critical that the EPA not overreach, not do things that you know, again, as the chairman said at the outset, there's a lot of potential for good here. But when you don't communicate with us and you don't engage with us, we can't work together. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.